Okay, so have you ever had one of those days where it's like your to-do list is like a mile long and you just feel like your brain is about to explode from like all the work stuff? I know I have.
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think we all have those days, especially in today's world.
That's a lot, right?
Yeah.
I feel like everyone is always talking about information overload and being busy, and it can be really overwhelming.
It really can. I mean, there's just constant input coming at us from all directions.
Yeah, for sure. So that's kind of what we're diving into today. Work journals.
Hmm.
We're not talking about those bullet journals or anything like that. It's more like a dedicated space for all this stuff that's going on with work.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I can see how that would be helpful. Kind of like a way to compartmentalize all that work stuff.
Exactly. So I've got this Listallion journal that I use for work. Have you ever heard of those?
Yeah, I think I've seen them around. They're pretty popular, right?
Yeah, they are. And for good reason, I think. Like the features are really well suited for this kind of thing. Like they have really thick paper, so it's super durable, and a built-in table of contents and numbered pages. It's actually kind of amazing.
Huh. Interesting. It sounds like they really thought of everything.
Oh, they did. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it's a lifesaver.
Yeah.
Like the other day, I was trying to find a note from this meeting we had like weeks ago, and I was like, oh no. But because of those numbered pages and the table of contents, I found it super quickly.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. I can definitely see how that would be useful when you're trying to stay organized.
For sure. And you know what else? They have this back pocket, which I use all the time, like for business cards and random notes and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I've seen those. That's super handy.
It is. It reminds me of my friend Emily. She's a project manager. And, she was always so overwhelmed. Like sticky notes everywhere, lists on napkins. It was a lot,
Oh, I can relate to that.
right? So I actually got her a Listallion journal a while back, and she swears by it now.
Really? I'm curious, how did she end up using it to get organized?
Well, she started by using, the numbered pages for her daily goals.
Mm-hmm.
Like every morning, she'd write down like the top 3 things she wanted to get done that day.
Okay, yeah. I can see how that would be helpful for prioritizing.
Yeah, totally. And then she used the table of contents to like keep track of all her different projects. So she'd have a section for each project
Okay.
and she could easily flip to it.
Huh. That's smart. It's like having a built-in filing system.
Exactly.
Mm.
And she loved that back pocket for like storing important notes and, just little things she came across. She said it was like a portable file cabinet for her brain.
Oh, I love that. And it really highlights that journaling is more than just writing things down. It's about creating a system that works for you and helps clear your mind, right?
Totally.
Sure.
Okay, so we've talked about like features and stuff, but like, what about the actual benefits of using a work journal? Let's
Okay.
get into like the why.
Okay, yeah. Let's dive into that. It's actually pretty fascinating when you think about it because we often think of journaling as this personal thing, but there's a ton of research that shows how beneficial it can be for work. So, for example, there's research that shows that journaling can help reduce stress. It's like when we write down our worries and to-do lists, we're basically taking them out of our short-term memory.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's like decluttering your mind.
Yeah, exactly. It's like taking out the mental trash, you know? Because our short-term memory, it can only hold so much information at once. And when it gets overloaded, that's when we start to feel all stressed and overwhelmed.
Oh, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that. Like when I just get everything out on paper, it's such a relief. Like I can finally breathe again.
Right. Exactly. And that's one of the things I really like about those Listallion journals. They have all that space to just like let your thoughts flow. You don't have to worry about running out of room.
That's so true. Plus, there are no distractions.
Yeah.
Like when I try to journal on my laptop, I always end up on like Twitter or checking email.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's just something about the physical act of writing that really helps you connect with your thoughts on a deeper level.
It's true. And speaking of deeper connections, didn't you say journaling can also help with creativity?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because it gives you this safe space to like explore ideas and brainstorm and just play around with different possibilities without any judgment.
Oh, that reminds me of something my brother was saying. He's a musician, and he says he gets his best songwriting ideas when he's just like free writing in his journal, not when he's like staring at a blank screen.
That's a great example because it allows you to tap into that subconscious part of your mind where those creative sparks are just waiting to come out, you know? And you might even surprise yourself with the solutions and connections you make.
It's like having a conversation with yourself, but like on paper.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all it takes to have a breakthrough.
Totally. And you know, those dashed lines in the Listallion journals, I think they're really helpful for that because they give you just enough structure without being too restrictive.
Yeah. I like that. It's flexible.
Yeah.
I'm a very visual person, so I like to draw little diagrams and stuff in my journal. It helps me process things.
Absolutely. And as you keep journaling over time, you'll start to develop a much deeper sense of self-awareness. As a professional, you'll start to notice your work habits, your strengths, your areas for growth.
Yeah, it's like having this record of your professional journey, right?
Yeah.
You can look back and be like, oh, wow, I've come a long way, or okay, I need to work on this.
Exactly. And those numbered pages and table of contents really come in handy for that. You can easily track your progress and go back to specific entries.
It's funny because I used to think journaling was just for teenagers or something,
Hmm.
but now I realize it's a really powerful tool for anyone who wants to improve their work life, no matter what stage of their career they're in.
I completely agree. And the best part is it's such a simple practice. You just need a pen and a notebook and an open mind.
And maybe a little inspiration from someone like Emily, right? She's proof that even small changes, like starting a work journal, can have a huge impact.
Absolutely. So speaking of well-being, let's talk about some specific journaling techniques that can help manage stress, boost your mood, and just create a more positive mindset at work.
Okay, yes. I'm always looking for new tips,
Yeah.
especially when things get a little hectic.
Well, one technique that I find really helpful is gratitude journaling.
Gratitude journaling. Okay, I've heard of that,
Yeah.
but I've never actually tried it. What is that exactly?
It's so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. The idea is to just take a few minutes each day to write down things you're grateful for, specifically related to your work life.
Okay, so even if I'm having a terrible day, I can still find things to be grateful for?
Exactly. It doesn't have to be anything big. It could be something small, like a compliment from a coworker
Yeah.
or, a successful meeting or even just like a moment of clarity when you figure something out.
Hmm, that's a good point. It's so easy to focus on the negative, especially when you're stressed, but focusing on the positive, even those little things can make a big difference.
It really can. And the more you practice gratitude, the more you'll start to see those good things in your work life. It's like you're training your brain to look for the positive, even when things are tough.
I love that analogy. It's like putting on those rose-colored glasses, but for work.
Exactly. And you know what? I've actually experienced this firsthand. A while back, I was going through a really tough time at work. I was feeling super burnt out and uninspired and just honestly pretty miserable.
Oh no, what happened?
I was working on this huge research project, and it just seemed to drag on forever. The deadlines were tight, the data was overwhelming, and I just felt this constant pressure to produce results.
That sounds so stressful.
It was. I was dreading going to work every day, and I knew I had to change something. A friend suggested gratitude journaling, and honestly, at first, I was a little skeptical. I was like, how is this going to help?
I can see that. It can seem a bit simplistic when you're facing real challenges.
Right. But I decided to try it anyway, so every morning I would sit down with my journal and force myself to write down 3 things I was grateful for, even if they seemed small or insignificant.
So did it actually make a difference?
It did. At first it felt a bit forced, but as I kept doing it day after day, something started to shift.
What do you mean? What kind of shift?
I just started to notice a change in my perspective. I was less focused on the negative parts of the project and more aware of the positives. I started appreciating those small wins, the collaboration with my team, the opportunities to learn new things.
It's amazing how even a slight shift in perspective can change your whole experience.
It really is. And as my attitude changed, I started to feel more energized and engaged in my work. I wasn't dreading it anymore. I was actually kind of excited to tackle those challenges again.
That's amazing. That's a true testament to the power of gratitude.
It is. And I still use gratitude journaling today, especially when I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed. It's just a simple way to recenter myself and remind myself of all the good things in my work life.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize how easy it is to take those good things for granted. We get so caught up in the day-to-day that we forget to appreciate those moments of joy or connection or accomplishment.
Absolutely. And gratitude journaling helps us pause and reflect and really savor those moments. And it helps us cultivate a more positive mindset overall, which can then impact our entire work experience.
I'm inspired. I'm definitely going to try this gratitude journaling thing.
I think you'll really like it. And it's interesting how this ties back to the Listallion journals.
Oh, how so?
Well, think about it. Those numbered pages, they become like milestones on your gratitude journey. You can track your progress and see how your perspective has changed over time.
And the table of contents. It's like your gratitude index. You can create a whole section just for gratitude entries and easily find them when you need a little pick-me-up.
Exactly. And that back pocket, well, you can use it to store little tokens of appreciation, like thank you notes or inspiring quotes.
Oh, that's a cute idea. It's like a little gratitude treasure chest.
So speaking of treasures, let's talk about another journaling technique that can help unlock your potential and manifest your goals.
Okay, tell me more. I'm intrigued.
Have you ever heard of affirmations?
Yeah, I have. I've always been curious about them, but I'm not really sure how to use them.
Well, affirmations are basically positive statements that you repeat to yourself, either out loud or in writing, to challenge negative thoughts and reinforce positive beliefs.
So it's like rewiring your brain for success.
Exactly. Our thoughts are so powerful. They really do influence our feelings and our actions. And by consciously choosing to focus on positive thoughts, we can literally create a more positive reality for ourselves.
Okay, I like that. But how do you actually make affirmations work? In a practical way, how do you go from repeating a phrase to actually seeing results?
That's a great question, and that's where journaling comes in. You see, when you write down your affirmations, you're not just thinking them, you're actively engaging with them. You're putting them out into the universe in a way.
So it's like a written contract with yourself.
Exactly. And that act of writing helps solidify those affirmations in your mind, making them more real, more tangible.
And I guess the more you repeat them, the more you start to believe them, and then you're more likely to act in a way that supports those beliefs.
Precisely. It's about creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're basically programming your subconscious mind for success.
Okay, now I'm really starting to see how powerful this could be. But how do you choose the right affirmations? Where do you even begin?
Well, the first step is to identify a limiting belief that's holding you back at work. It could be something like, I'm not good enough, or I'm not creative, or I'm afraid of public speaking.
So you're saying that once you've figured out that belief, you can create an affirmation that directly challenges it.
Exactly. So let's say your limiting belief is, I'm not good enough. Your affirmation could be, I am competent and capable, or I bring unique skills and talents to my work.
And then you write those affirmations down in your journal, repeating them as often as you need to.
Exactly. You can write them every day, several times a day, especially when you're feeling stressed or doubtful. The key is to repeat them with conviction, with feeling.
It's like planting seeds of positivity, and if you nurture them, they'll eventually grow into new beliefs and behaviors.
I love that analogy. And remember, it's a process. It takes time and effort to change those deeply ingrained beliefs. But with patience and persistence, affirmations can be such a powerful tool for transformation, both personally and professionally.
I'm so excited about all these journaling techniques. It's so much more than just taking notes. It's like this tool for self-discovery and growth and empowerment.
I agree. And it's funny how all of this connects back to the Listallion journals again.
Oh, I bet it does.
Think about it. Those numbered pages are like affirmations in action. Each page is a step forward, a commitment to growth.
And the table of contents. It's your roadmap to self-improvement. You can track your progress, celebrate your wins, and revisit those inspiring affirmations whenever you need a reminder of your strength.
And you know what? That back pocket, it's perfect for storing little reminders of your goals and aspirations, like maybe a photo that inspires you, or a quote that motivates you, or even a little object that represents your dream.
I love that. It's like a vision board inside your journal.
Speaking of visions, let's explore one more journaling technique that can help you manifest your ideal work life.
Oh, okay. Tell me more.
Have you heard of future scripting?
Future scripting. No. What is that?
It's basically where you write about your ideal future as if it's already happening. So you describe your perfect workday, your dream projects, your biggest accomplishments, and you use vivid details and emotional language to really bring it to life.
Wow, it's like writing a movie about your dream career. That sounds incredibly inspiring.
It is. It helps you clarify your vision, get excited about your goals, and even attract the right opportunities.
So it's about shifting your focus from what is to what could be.
Yeah,
And by writing it down, you make those desires more real.
exactly. And here's a tip. When you're future scripting, don't just focus on the external outcomes like promotions or awards. Also, think about how you want to feel in this ideal future.
You mean like, do you want to feel confident, fulfilled, inspired?
Yeah, write about those feelings as if you're already experiencing them. The more you immerse yourself in the emotions of your ideal future, the more likely you are to bring it to life.
This is incredible. I never realized how powerful journaling could be. It's like a secret weapon for success.
It really is. And it's funny how it all connects back to the Listallion journals. Again,
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
think about it. Those numbered pages are like chapters in your future success story. Each page is a step closer to your dreams.
And the table of contents. It's like the outline for your future masterpiece. You can track your goals, celebrate milestones, and revisit those inspiring future scripts whenever you need a little motivation.
And of course, that back pocket, it's the perfect spot to keep those little reminders of your vision, maybe a business card from a company you admire, or a ticket stub from an event that inspired you, or just a small object that represents your goals.
I love that. It's like a mini museum of your future success.
We've covered a lot of ground here today. We've talked about the science behind journaling, all the amazing benefits, and some really powerful techniques you can use. But I think it's important to remember that this is just the beginning.
What do you mean?
Well, the beauty of journaling is that it's a journey of self-discovery. And there's always more to explore, more to learn about yourself and your potential. And as you continue to journal, you'll find that it evolves with you.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. It's about finding what works for you, trying different techniques, and letting it unfold organically.
Exactly. And as you embrace that journey, I think you'll be amazed at what you discover.
This has been such a great conversation. I feel like I have a totally new perspective on journaling now and how it can impact my work life.
Me too. And before we wrap up, we'd love to hear from you, the listener.
Yeah. What resonated with you? Was it a specific technique or maybe a personal story?
Take a moment to think about what you've learned and how you might incorporate journaling into your own work routine.
And if you're feeling inspired, grab a notebook or your Listallion journal and just start writing.
Don't overthink it. Just let your thoughts flow.
It's funny, when we're talking about all these benefits of journaling, I can't help but think about all the times I've been like, ugh, I don't want to journal right now.
It's so true. Like, we know it's good for us, but there's this resistance sometimes.
Yeah, totally. And I think for a lot of people, it's this idea that journaling has to be this big, like, production. Like, you need the perfect notebook and the perfect pen and, like, a dedicated hour of quiet time.
I think you're right. It's easy to get caught up in all of that. But really, journaling is about the process, not the stuff.
Exactly. It's about just showing up consistently, even if it's just for like 5 minutes and just letting yourself write whatever's on your mind.
Yeah, that's so important. And speaking of showing up consistently, I think having a dedicated work journal can really help with that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I know when I was trying to journal in like random notebooks, I'd always get distracted by other notes or doodles or whatever. Having a separate space just for work stuff helps me stay focused.
That makes sense. It's like you're creating a mental boundary between work and everything else, which is so important these days because everything's kind of blending together.
That's so true. It reminds me of this story my aunt told me. She's a freelance writer, and she used to work from her kitchen table, like right in the middle of all the family chaos.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine.
Right. She said it was impossible to concentrate, and she was always stressed.
Yeah, I can see how that would be hard. It's tough to get into a creative flow when there's so much going on around you.
Totally. So finally, she decided to set up a dedicated workspace for herself. And she even got, like, a special journal just for her work projects, a Listallion one, actually.
Oh, nice. I bet that helped a lot.
It did. She said it was like night and day. Having that physical space, even if it's just a little corner, helped her brain switch into work mode.
It's like setting the stage for productivity.
Totally. And she said the Listallion journal was perfect for her because it had tons of space for writing. The numbered pages made it easy to keep track of different drafts, and that back pocket, she used it to store all her research notes and clippings.
I bet that organization made her feel so much more in control.
She said it was a game changer. She was able to focus better, she felt less stressed, and she actually got more done.
Wow, that's awesome. It really shows how even those little changes can make a huge difference.
Exactly. And it highlights how important it is to find tools and systems that work for you and your specific needs.
Absolutely.
So for you, the listener, I think the takeaway here is to just experiment. There's no right or wrong way to journal. Some people like to be really structured with like bullet points and to-do lists. Others prefer a more free-flowing style with lots of brainstorming and mind mapping.
Yeah. And some people, like me, like a little bit of both, depending on the day.
Exactly. The important thing is to find a process that you enjoy, something that feels natural and that you can stick with.
That's so true.
And remember, even if you don't have a fancy Listallion journal, any notebook will do. The key is to just make that commitment to yourself, to make time for reflection and exploration.
It's about giving yourself that gift, that chance to connect with yourself, unlock your potential, and create a work life that you love.
That's such a good point. And as we wrap up this deep dive on work journals, I want to leave you with this thought. What if you thought of your work journal as a treasure map?
Ooh, Ooh, I like that. A treasure map to what?
A treasure map to your own brilliance, your talents, your potential. Like, what if you used it to chart a course toward your dream work life?
I love that. It's such a great way to think about it. And it reminds us that the journey itself is just as important as the destination.
Exactly. So keep exploring, keep experimenting, keep writing, and see where your treasure map takes you. Until next time, happy journaling.